Hello and welcome to another one of my advice videos. Today we're taking a violent segue from writing, which we will come back to, and jumping to self-publishing. That's right, something I've been doing for the last 10 years, something I've been teaching for the last 8. And today I'm going to talk about a subject that is very dear to my heart: how not to self-publish. Now, the reason we're starting with this topic instead of how to self-publish is that I believe when you're starting out on a new path, it's wise to know all the pitfalls and barriers before you start walking that path. So let's get one thing straight first of all. Self-publishing is not self-publishing. 99% of authors out there like you and me don't do every little facet of the self-publishing process ourselves. And neither should we. Self-publishing is actually more like project management. We should be hiring professionals for cover design and editing and formatting to help us get our manuscript to something we can sell and that is professional and that people will enjoy. Now, there is another way, and that is to use a company which provides publishing services like cover design, editing, publishing, etc., the whole shebang, and that way they'll handle it all for you and you can just sit back and relax. If you're new to self-publishing, that might sound like a pretty sweet setup, but wait. It all depends on the company that you choose to work with. Now, there are some awesome companies out there that have your best interests in mind, whose packages are affordable, balanced, and also good quality. And then there are the others. There are companies out there that don't have your best interests at heart, that will charge you ridiculous prices for services that are completely subpar, and they will also act like salesmen. In fact, I'm of the opinion they are completely unethical and actually a threat to an author's success. In my years providing advice and helping other authors to publish and market their books the right way, I've come across so many people who have unfortunately been tangled up in these types of companies. One of the authors I worked with gave one of these companies $15,000 to publish their one book. They ended up creating something completely unprofessional, almost unsellable, and put it in the wrong market. For that author, that's their dream, their savings, and years of time gone. It annoys me so much. In this video, I'll be digging deep into their services, their packages, showing you how they work, and in doing so, give you a huge list of red flags to help you avoid these companies like a f***ing plague. Just a quick legal caveat, just in case. All of what you hear in this video is my opinion. It is my very informed, professional opinion, but it is still my opinion. Disclaimer done. Red flag number 1, publishing packages. One theme of these companies is publishing packages. Publishing packages, publishing packages, publishing packages, publishing packages. Once you start looking at website after website, company after company, the packages all start sounding very similar. That's because these companies are all under one giant umbrella called Author Solutions LLC. What they've done is essentially create 6 or 7 different versions of the same company, each with different prices and slightly different package names, but essentially the same thing. There's a little mini red flag. Just be wary of any company that feels the need to call their packages things like Premiere and Discovery and Optimum, Publicist or Tapestry, Excelsior. Power! The problem with the package approach is that the fact there's loads of stuff bundled into those things, so it looks like you're getting a load of things for your money, a load of services, a load of perks, but it can also be hard to gauge the actual value of each service in there. It might look convenient, nice round number, all bundled in together, a lot off your plate, but actually splitting these things apart, you could be saving yourself hundreds, thousands. Next up, overpriced or useless services. Let's actually have a look at some of these packages and see what we can get for our money. So I'm a first-time author, what do I need? Professional cover design, professional editing, maybe 1 or 2 passes, formatting for ebook, typesetting for print. I want a website and maybe set up my social media as well. I'm gonna do a whole video all about how much it should cost to self-publish next. But as a ballpark figure, depending on the type of professional you're gonna use, you could be looking to spend anywhere between $2,000, $2,500 up to $5,000, maybe a bit more to $6,000. That involves cover design, editing, formatting, typesetting, website build, and social media setup, which is actually free. So this is one company. It ranges from basic, $899, doesn't sound too bad at all, up to $15,299. So $4,000 isn't kind of out of the ballpark. So I'm gonna measure that against what we could get spending that money on individual professionals that we find ourselves as an indie author. So this is paperback publishing, roughly. This means you get paperback publishing. That's actually free via Amazon KDP Print and only $50 via Ingram Spark. Ebook, publishing an ebook is actually free via Amazon, Kobo, Google, Apple, anywhere else. Basic interior templates. This is for the ebook and the print interior, what it looks like inside. They're pre-made templates and you get a choice of them. I kind of want them customized personally. Basic cover templates. Stay away from cover templates. Either they're not going to be good or 100 other authors out there will have them. These don't look professional enough. No. You'll actually see here that we have to supply the images ourselves as authors. So they just apply to the template and we get to choose font, colors, things like that. Wonderful. We have the option to supply our own cover, which is great. Author homepage and book page. Is that a website? Online sales and royalty accounting. Amazon does that for you. Kobo does that for you. All of those have dashboards which show your royalties and online sales. ISBN registration. You go to somewhere like Bowker or Nielsen in the UK. Worldwide distribution and online listing. I know for a fact that me and this company use the same distribution network. Like I said, it cost me $50 to get in there, and it gives me for an extra couple of bucks annual fee, worldwide distribution and online listing. Google Books Preview is automatic if you publish via Google. Amazon Look Inside happens automatically as well. These are largely automatic.
Electronic galleys.
These are electronic proofs. You get paperback copies. How many do we get? We get 30. If I bought my own books on Amazon at full price, that cost me $300. Business cards. 50 business cards. I could get through those in one day of a convention. A quick Google Vistaprint, I can get 115 bucks. Bookmarks. 50 bookmarks. 50 postcards. 5 posters. Here's where we're getting into the good stuff now, where they confuse you with even more. I mean, look at this list, man. Look at this list. Hardback, you can do that via Ingram Spark for an extra 50 bucks. Let's call that 100 with the actual reformatting of it. Professional cover templates. Templates. Here we go, cover design service. The plus means available as an add-on for an additional fee. This is where they get you. Library of Congress registration. I reached out to a load of authors recently who are very professional, very successful. Practically none of them have a Library of Congress registration number or had heard of it. US copyright registration. Copyright is automatic, but if you want to take an extra step to have an actual registration of your copyright and you're in the US, feel free. Data entry. Of what? Copy editing. Yes. 1 cent a word. Things that most fiction authors wouldn't need, things like indexing, citations, footnotes, endnotes. Paper galleys is just a physical proof. I get 10 hardback copies. 150 bucks added onto that. Leather bound for an extra cost. I get book stubs. These are like little credit cards that you hand out. I get 10 of them, so it's 10 free ebooks, 1 for every book stub. I could just email you the ebook. I get 12 months of book returnability. I can set my own price. Yes, I can't do that unless I pay for the premium package. Every other package contains an extra fee to set my own price. And I've seen books priced very high, again, impacting your ability to sell and break even. I get the starter web design service, I get a press release sent out, I get my book featured on Bookmap, which I hadn't actually come across until I looked at Ex Libris today. But I don't get the social media setup guide. I've got to pay for the executive to get the social media guide, not even the setup. Okay. So I was told this package had a value of $7,500. I can't even see the value of 4,000, maybe not even the value of 2,000. You've got to add a lot on. A lot of things you get automatically or free just by going to these platforms direct. The marketing stuff that they talk about really isn't worth the extra price tag.
No!
Hidden costs, fees, and fine print. Things like having to pay for changes or edits further down the line if you want to update your book. Bloody book stubs again, but oh, we're responsible for the shipping and the handling. This one, really makes me laugh. So for $3,000, I've got the option to be stocked in Chapters Indigo, which is Canada's largest book retailer. In the UK, this service is pitched towards Waterstones. In the US, it's Barnes & Noble. They will send an email, what's called a sell sheet, a one-page document which tells them all about your book for stocking consideration. No guarantee. Then it says, regardless of their decision about carrying your book in their stores, your book will be available in the online bookstore. Well, you can actually do that free if you publish on Kobo anyway. So you paid $3,000 for them to send an email, which they probably send quite a lot of, seeing as they treat authors like items on a conveyor belt, in my opinion. Just even looking at the lists, never mind the fine print, all of that is quite confusing and overlapping and worded strangely and difficult to figure out what comes with what, especially if you're a first-time author. Then you've got all the other fine print and add-ons and restrictions and things that you weren't made aware about. Suddenly they come and bite you in the ass weeks, months, even years down the line. It's just not honest. It's not transparent. Why would you want to work with a company that does this, that hides things? From a lot of experience, I believe deliberately try to confuse you, especially first-time authors. It's all just shady. Sales tactics and upselling. Now, see, these are people doing their jobs, and I understand that people have got to work, especially in these dark times. So I'm not going to talk about the individuals. I believe these companies ask their salespeople to upsell things and to be possibly vague about things, especially to authors who are first-time authors. So I tested this by pretending to be a first-time author. I rang 3 companies and gave them all the same information. I was a first-time author looking to get cover design, editing, formatting, typesetting, website design, and social media setup. My book was about 110,000, 120,000 words, and it was, of course, a fantasy book.
I was hoping to speak to one of your publishing consultants.
The people that I spoke to and asked these questions of are called publishing consultants. There's another little red flag for you. Therein lies the problem. If you call these people publishing consultants or brand them as publishing consultants, it gives them an air of authority. That is an authority that first-time authors or people brand new to self-publishing and marketing will trust. And if their job is not actually to help the author, but to sell as much product of a company as possible, their best interests are in their commission or the company's profit, not you. The majority of the calls weren't especially shocking. There was vagueness, there was a bit of upselling, but they weren't as pushy as I've experienced in the past. That wasn't until I called Ex Libris. There are a lot of interesting parts of that conversation, a lot of sales techniques, a lot of time pressure in terms of discounts ending before the end of the month. First-time discounts for no apparent reason. Again, a lot of vagueness that if I hadn't have clarified, which a first-time author might not have done, I might have walked away from that situation thinking something completely different. Namely, that one copy of my book would have ended up in apparently every store in America.
Does that get my book into bookstores?
Yeah.
Wow, so my book will end up in all of those stores? Like a copy in each store? That's really cool. So that program puts a copy of each book in, or via your services, a copy of my book will end up in each of these stores.
Now, one of the most interesting things was a package which was an add-on to the book trailer package. So I'd get a book trailer made by this company. They would then upload it to something called the Hollywood database. I'm not part of Hollywood at all, but I've never heard of this anyway, so I thought I'd do a quick Google of Hollywood database. Doesn't look amazing. If you zoom in, it's owned by Author Solutions, the same company that owns Ex Libris and all the others. Big loop. Oh yeah, and the cost to create one of those book trailers is $4,000. Like I said, these companies really grind my gears because of the authors that have to suffer because of them. Do yourself a favor, and avoid these companies. They're too expensive, they leave you too in the dark, and they put you so much on the back foot that you might not ever recover your cost or sell your books. Simply put, they just don't give a shit about authors, and they're trying to make this off of us. In summary of my opinions, don't be a mug, stay away from them, tell other people to stay away from them, and publish the right way. And that is exactly what we'll be discussing in the next couple of videos. So stay tuned for those. We're going to take a little ramble into self-publishing for a bit. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, to follow, to click that little notification button. And otherwise, if you need any other information on me, you can find me at my website, bengali.com, or lurking around on social media as usual. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll be back soon with more advice.